AwesomeCon. Whoopee! Hi. Just too loud.
You guys, come on.
Hi. Thank you so much for coming out here. Yay! It's great to see you. My name is Charles. I'll be your actor for today. No, I'm just I am so happy to be here at AwesomeCon. It's really a unique and wonderful pleasure. And I'm always very grateful because of you guys, we get to come out and play and talk and visit wonderful cities like Washington, D.C. and hear, it's a unique privilege to hear the impact that you have in life. And I hear so many times the most wonderful things, like you're the voice of my childhood, and I used to play with my dad, and now I'm playing with my kids. It tells you two things. One, you're getting old, and two, there's a deep appreciation for the work that we do, and that's such a wonderful and touching thing for me to be able to hear it and see it. I have the best life in the world. I get to work with wonderful people doing the games and doing all the projects that I do. I travel the world. I do PR and advertising. And the most fun thing is I get to meet fans of that fantastic character that I play named Super Mario. Here today, I'd be happy to answer any questions. Of course, I can't answer anything about what games are coming in the future or what projects are, in the pipeline.
The lawyers are get back to the
lawyers. But I can answer anything about my personal life. A lot of people ask, how did you get the voice of Mario?
How did you get the voice of Mario?
I'm glad you asked. I had no intention in my life of ever being an actor. I wanted to be first a doctor, then I watched a surgery on a dog at UC Davis. And I said, okay, we're not going to do that. And then, because I was really good at anatomy and physiology, and I thought, well, then I should be a doctor. And then, I thought psychology, but then it was like having to go to Santa Cruz, and a friend of mine was going to study law, and I thought, that's what I'll do, law. And so I was going to be a lawyer, and I thought, I'll get a political science degree, because I like political science. And I met the greatest professor in the world, an old Englishman, at UC Berkeley, who was 80 years old, rounding third, coming home, and I wanted to get do my thesis with him and do all my classes with him, because he was the first professor to ever say, what do you think? ... based on what you've read and things. And I'm like, yahoo! This is like, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So answer about the nature of man and humanity by Hobbes, Locke, Rousseau, Voltaire, etc., etc., etc. Write that as fast as you can, and then write about what you think. And there was just part one and part two. And say, okay, the rest of my life, this is what I'm going to do, is the study of the nature of man. And of course, I go back at UC Berkeley to get my final classes, and I can't get him in a single class. So being the brat that I am, I quit. I walked out Souther Gates, and I thought, well, I'll be back next quarter. But a friend of mine said, well, since you're free, why don't you take an acting class from me? And the man's name was Les Abbott, a wonderful, wonderful man who also trained Adrian Barbeau and many actors that, you just sort of know of through time. And it was quite amazing, because I said, Les, there is absolutely no way I could ever get up in front of people and talk. There's just no way. And he said, well, yeah, you can. You just come and try it. You don't have to do anything. Just come and try it. And I said, no, Les, there's honestly, thank you, but I could never. He goes, well, I'll tell you what, there's a cafeteria training program for chefs next door, so why don't you come? We'll go eat lunch. And I'm like, eat lunch? Okay, I'm coming! Well, obviously I enjoy food a lot, And so I don't know why, but I took this acting class, and then, the first thing you do is a bunch of monologues for the class, and I'm thinking, okay, well, because I get to eat with Les, he's certainly not going to ask me to do a monologue. And sure enough, every person goes, and I'm like, I start getting this fear, so I got shrinking and shrinking. I was about this big in my chair, and I'm hoping and hiding behind the threads of the chair, and I hear, Charles, you're up, because I was the last guy, and I'm thoroughly convinced that I thought I could die in that moment, because I was so terrified of being in front of people. And I walked up to the front of the class, like, oh my gosh, I didn't, and my monologue was, my name is Joe, I died a terrible death in a fire in the warehouse, and blah, 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 monologues for young actors, right? So I'm doing this, and I walk up there, and I'm like, my name is Joe, I died a horrible, and I'm just convinced that I'm like shaking like this. I could feel my right foot going like this, so I put my weight on it, and then I could feel my left foot going like this, so I put my weight on that one and spread my legs apart, and then they're both going like this, and I'm convincing the people in the class are going, and I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die. And I don't know what I said, but I finally finished this monologue. And I'm like, I thought, this is it. And people, you get the handy applause and comments. Well, how is it possible that you were the only person who wasn't nervous? Right? That's when your eyes go, like that. Go, really? So I had no idea. I thought I was the worst thing in the world, and that you weren't nervous. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I kept doing this, doing monologues and then scenes in classroom, and starting to feel confident. And then the school auditioned for, thank you very much, for A Midsummer Night's Dream. And I thought, well, I was bored with the deep voice, and maybe I'll be Oberon, King of the Fairies. So I go and audition for Oberon, King of the Fairies. And in college, you watch everybody else audition. And I watched everybody else audition, and I'm like, whoa, I got this one, I was so sure I had it. And I called Les up. I said, Les, I did a really good audition. I think I got it. He goes, well, Charles, don't count your chickens before they hatch. And I'm like, what do you know about chickens? I feed them in the morning. And I thought for sure I got this thing. But I go up to the casting board and I'm like, Charles, there's Oberon right there. Oberon, not you. Demetrius, the third twig by the second bush on the left, holding a spear. Nothing. I got absolutely nothing. And failure is such a great motivator. Because suddenly I went like, okay, the fire in the belly was lit. And it wasn't like, I want to be an actor, it's so fabulous. It's like, I'm going to be an actor. And I started studying everything I could, Stanislavski, English methods, American method, and then taking speech classes, and we won tournaments in the States, and then the national championships, and then a professional theater came over to audition at our little college, and I went to audition for it, and it was right after the show closed, and I auditioned with the monologue of Oberon. There lies Titania sometime of the night. And I got it. And the guys that were in the play at the moment or just finishing did not. So that got me going. And I started studying acting and doing professional theater. Then I went to study in England, came back, did 10 years of theater, then started, one day I stopped doing theater and a friend of mine called me up and said, hey, you should come and audition for a corporate video. And I said, what's a corporate video? He goes, it's a video that's corporate. Oh, what do I do? You act. Okay. So I auditioned for this thing, and I got like the first 10, and it paid more for a day than a week of working in the theater. And I suddenly said, I'm a corporate theater actor. And so I'm doing that, and then one day, I'm doing a commercial. I'm doing that ad for the pitchfork, with the guys with the pitchfork, and the American Gothic, it's called, the painting where the pitchfork and his wife is standing next to him, the barn is in the back. In those days, they lit things for like 750 hours, and then they shot 15 seconds of film. So we're like 715 days later, okay, we're done. And the producer goes, that was great. Do you do voiceover? I said, of course I do. What's a voiceover? It's a voice that goes over the video. I'm like, okay, I can do that. And he hands me the script, and I go, Orchard Supply Hardware, the right item at the right price, right now. And I got a paycheck that was equal to my standing there for 7 hours, 15 seconds of work, and I said, I'm a voiceover actor! and then so I'm doing voiceover, and I'm so lucky because we have corporate videos doing hundreds of those, and then we have a crash, and then no more corporate videos. Then I'm doing advertising and videos and things like that, and then that crashes. And luckily, I started doing trade shows. And one day I was doing what actors do, sitting on the beach, waiting for the phone to ring, and reading a book, or golfing. So if I were my brother, I'd have been golfing at the time. And I'm out there, and I'm sitting there reading, and then, it's like, ring, and I'm like, hello? And it's my friend who goes, you should go do this audition for a trade show. And I said, what's a trade show? He says, It's a show for the trade. No, I already knew what it was. So I said there is absolutely no way I would ever crash an audition. I'm a professional actor. I would be humiliated. Where should I go? Okay, well, go to this address. And I have no idea why. It's the only audition I ever crashed in my life. I go there, I drag my heels, I walk in the door. As I'm walking in, the cameraman is walking out with the producer, and I said, "Hi, can I read for this thing?" And the guy looks at me like, you. All right, come in. We're gonna set the camera back up. And you're an Italian plumber from Brooklyn, right? In a video game, this video game. And we're gonna do a real-time animation. It's never been done before, but you're gonna wear these contacts on your face that's gonna make these roller balls roll, and then it goes through a supercomputer, and then the cartoon character will move when you're talking, and we have no idea if this is gonna work, but if it doesn't work, I'm not gonna pay you to sit there. So make up a voice, make up a video game, start talking, or whatever you wanna make up, start talking, and whenever you run out of things to say, that's your audition. This was his first fatal mistake. Telling me to keep talking was like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. Now, I have no idea who Mario is. I have no idea who Nintendo is. I haven't played video games since Pong Pong, beep, and wacka, 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 you know, right? And so I'm sitting thinking, video game. No, but an Italian plumber from Brooklyn, I can do that. Get out of my face, I'm wicked here. You know, and I'm like, no, I don't want to do that all day long, because what if there are kids there, what if there are nice people there? I don't want to be mean and rotten, you know, I want to be nice. So I'm thinking to myself, why don't you just start making up what comes to the top of your head? Which is something that I apparently can do. I didn't know it at the time, but I was sitting thinking, well, I'll make up things about, I know. Food. And so all of a sudden I hear action, I say, hello, I'm Mario. Let's make a pizza pie together. You go get some sausage, I will get spaghetti. We put spaghetti, the sausage, and pizza. And then we bake the pizza. And we're gonna chase you with the pizza, and if I catch you with the pizza, you gotta eat the pizza. And then you gotta make the pizza and chase me with the pizza. And I'm convinced the guy's gonna go, thank you. And he doesn't. So I'm like, and then we gotta make lasagna. And then I'm gonna make the lasagna. We put the spaghetti in the lasagna. And put the spaghetti in the lasagna. And then I chase with lasagna. And then with the empty pan, we go flying down the hill together. And then he doesn't say stop. We make a spaghetti meatballs together. You know, and I'm trying to say, well, and then chase with meatballs, and you get me to and I'm thinking, this is great because I just keep going. And I'm gonna keep going. And then part of me is going like, all right, if you don't say stop, I will show you how long I can talk. And, we're chasing each other with tickets and sinks and flying around and eating everything alive, and then I just kept going and going and going and going. And apparently, while I was doing that, the cameraman turned to the producer and said, do you think if we left right now and went and had a drink and came back, it'd still be going? And the producer said, let's find out. But they didn't leave, and I kept going until I heard, stop talking. Cut. There's no more tape. Thanks, we'll be in touch. Actor, that means there's the door, get out, goodbye, And I was convinced that was really it, that was finished. So I went back to the beach, watched the sunset, finished my boat, went home, got a phone call, because he called Nintendo. He said, I just got our Mario, I found him. And he only sent my tape up, apparently 30 minutes long, of me going, because I was the only person who didn't say, hey, I'm Mario, how you doing? We're gonna go on a little pizza run here, how's it going? Something like that. And everybody broke character, but I never did. Because I was there to have fun. If I'm gonna leave the beach, I'm gonna have fun. So I always believe, I had no idea who Mario was. This was, by the way, 26 years ago in November. And it was for a show called Consumer Electronics Show. And when I did that show, people had a great time, but it was a one-off. But I was so in love with the character that I kept pushing to do it for the next CES, which was summer in Chicago. And sure enough, we did a summer in Chicago. And then I pushed and we got to the next winter, the next one, and then we did another iteration. And then somebody in there rebuilt the system, we did it again. So it kept on going until one day, I got a phone call in 1996. Mr. Miyamoto would like me to play Mario in a video game. And I'm like, Woohoo! 5 years into it, and there was Mario 64, and what a wonderful, marvelous examination of 5 years of improv, putting it into the game to find things like spaghetti, ravioli, along with the great scripts and wonderful creative people. And it's been 25 just absolute dream years of working with people that I love, people that are wonderfully involved in video games, who love and have a passion for video games, and coming out and meeting wonderful people like you. So thank you very much for playing my game. Wish for everyone. You see, I won't let you get a word in edgewise, right?
You are the only person who's ever been able to stop me completely from talking. So congratulations. Now, folks, want to get people to line up?
Well, yeah, sure, and yeah, sure, you can line up, and while you're lining up, I will say that I always believe that, you have a conscious ability to create your entire act in it. And I mean that in not the crass way of, like, well, if you have trouble, it's your fault, but rather that you can create a sense of joy and fun and happiness. I never had a clue of what specifically I wanted to do, but from the first time I could make my mother laugh doing impersonations of the Jackie Gleason show, hey Joe, how are you, Mr. Donnie? From that moment, I wanted to make people laugh. I wanted to make people have fun. And I wanted a joyful, happy life. And I went through a lot of ups and downs and ins and outs and failures and things like that. But the aim was always happiness. And so that's what I wish for all of you. And I say it now because it seems like at the end I'd be crying if I said it. But I wish for everybody, that you live your dream. You find your passion. You find what you love to do. And do it. Do it because life is so short and it's such a gift. So you should enjoy every minute unwrapping it. That's my wish for you. And I'll take questions.